Hello Dave is brought to you ad-free by my supporters on Patreon. Become a Patreon yourself and get your name listed as a supporter at the end of every video by following the link in the video description. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Hello Dave with Down to Earth Astronomy. It's once again Monday and I hope you've enjoyed your weekend. This week I have some very good news for you and some very interesting news as well. I hope. So, the major news for me this week is the introduction of a lot of new player factions. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that I have had my quarrels with Frontier regarding the player minor faction and the level of information in general and the lacking of communication with the rest of the community in general. So, seeing that they finally decided after, I think we've been waiting for 8 months, and they then finally decided to finally apply our application and add the faction into the game was absolutely wonderful. So of course I've been spending a lot of time with that over the weekend, and there will be a lot more events, both private events but also live streams regarding this whole player faction. But it's not gonna take over. It's not gonna be this is not gonna end up being a background simulation channel only. I'll keep my usual content coming, but you will begin to see stuff related to this. Of course, I'm planning to do some kind of thinking of this being some kind of a background simulation school, where as I learn stuff about it as a researcher, as I get more knowledge about this new aspect of the game, or well, new for me at least, I'll begin to compress videos of it. So I can't really say how often they will come out, but whenever I feel like I have learned enough that I can compress that into a 10-minute-ish video, there will be some information coming out. So if you're one of the lucky ones that also got your player faction in the latest patch, then the latest introduction of new factions, then I would definitely recommend that you stick around, because I'll try to give you some tips and tricks, and especially if I come across something. There's already been a lot of very knowledgeable, very experienced background simulating, altering players, whatever you call that, who's been contacting me, offering their assistance, and it of course is much appreciated. And it's something that I'll probably want to use to try and accelerate my learning curve a little bit. And there's also been a lot of you guys who've been writing and congratulating me on finally getting that faction, and first of all, thank you very much. And I think it's a little funny that it's that it's something you congratulate people on getting your application approved. But I guess it's because of the amount of my outspoken disappointment with Frontier on this matter, that I did a month back, 2 months back, I don't know, but I did a while ago. Now, there's also been people suggesting that the reason why we are now seeing all these factions being introduced is because of that campaign that me and Plater had for like a little bit back. Now, I'm not sure if that's actually correct. I at least don't want to take credit for it, because I believe that so the reason why they implemented now is because Frontier is basically, it seems like they've decided, well, realized that the amount of requests was too big to be handled manually, so they wrote a piece of software that would then handle it automatically. And I believe that, at least the idea that I got from talking with them, that they were already working on that software prior to that campaign that we had back a while ago. So I don't know if that focus on the topic had accelerated the process. I don't know, but at least now they're here, and now that they have this software, it seems that it's going to be easier for them to implement, because there was, after the initial batch was released of player factions, they launched a list saying these are the factions that were approved and these were the factions that were not approved. And our faction was on neither of the lists, so I wrote to the guy in charge of this and said, hey, what's going on? Why are we not on the list? And I even went back to previous posts and confirmed that we were still on the lists where they said these are the ones we are still working on, and really read carefully through the list of not approved factions, just to make sure they didn't like make a typo, so it wouldn't come up in my like search for it or something like that. But nope, we just disappeared. So I wrote to them, asked, wait, what's going on? Why did we suddenly disappear? And it turned out that there was a bug in the software. They corrected it, and the next day they had the rest of the factions implemented. So the fact that they can correct the software and implement another 100 and something factions in a matter of a day, I think that's an indication that from now on, getting new factions into the game is not going to be a half year or plus wait. I hope that this is now something where they can be able to go back to that monthly cycle that they originally intended. So yeah, that's great news. And again, now that we have a player faction, of course, you're more than welcome to join. All this will be orchestrated from Discord, a link for that below in the description. And once you come over to Discord, all you really have to do is to go into the welcome and bot spam channel, and then you type !rank space terror -x, like dash hyphen, I don't know what's that called, like the not underscore x, like ex. You can see here in this small video clip I just played. But yeah, there's no way to really join in-game, so you don't like go to a station and apply in the game. So the faction's just there, but that's all going to be part of the... I'm going to go into more detail with that in that BGS school learning background simulation kind of series thing that I'm going to start pretty soon. We do have it in narrowing as well, link for that as well. You can go and join up over there, sign up. It doesn't really do anything. We're not going to use that to orchestrate anything. It's just for people who want to show their affiliation with the link and with the faction. So now moving forward, of course, this also means that there will be some more background simulation focused stuff and events, community events, like where we just do it inside the channel's community. Though it's not going to mean that the channel is going to move and be a pure background simulation channel now. You will probably see an increased focus on it in the next couple of weeks, because, well, this is all like new toys, right? But I will of course keep up my usual type of content with money making guides, engineering guides, engineering material guides, and like Worth a Visit is gonna come back pretty soon. I think it's been dormant for quite a while. Not because it's been lacking destinations. I still have a decent list of destinations for Worth a Visit, but 3.0 really changed things up a lot for me, because suddenly I got into a habit that there was a lot of new stuff, so I kind of put both my engineering, if you follow the channel for a while, you know I had this engineering unlocking guide where I've been going through all the engineers, and then of course it's been put on hold a bit. Now I do have one coming out. Is that out? It's out already, actually. About Palin, I believe, was already out, and not Hello Dave, this is somebody. Worth a Visit is also coming back, but I put those on hold because there was so much new stuff that I wanted to cover that I decided to put those on hold. Oh, sorry. But they're coming back, going back to the more usual content that you know. Anyway, that I think was enough about the player factions and that. There's one other thing I want to comment on, and I believe that was actually a couple of weeks ago now. Back then I didn't pay much attention to it, but there's been so much talk about that I feel like I want to mention it. That's the comment made by, I can't remember who it was from Frontier, but one of them posted somewhere saying that the 3.0 update, 3.1 update is closer than we think. And there's been lots of speculation. What does that mean? And does it mean it's gonna come tomorrow and they're gonna do like a surprise update? Now, what we know about 3.1 is it's going to be a content update. What we know is going to be there is going to be the Guardian frameshift boosters, which were removed after they were introduced. They were removed very shortly after they were introduced because yeah, I'm not really sure why actually. I mean, they were grossly unbalanced, and I believe they removed it because they said it was bugged, but I suspect that it's more because they thought it was balanced, but with the amount of outrage from the community, they realized that they were not. They removed it so they could give the balancing another pass to hopefully make them a little bit more positively received once they come out. That's my suspicion, of course, but at least those frameshift boosters are gonna come out in the 3.0 patch. Other than that, I haven't been looking, but I haven't heard much in terms of updates on what's going to be included in the patch. But the whole soon thing is of course a standing joke with Frontier, or any game developer, I guess, that we're going to do this soon, which could be anywhere from tomorrow or in 4 months. Now, the fact that they say sooner than we think suggests that they are not going to follow the normal point update procedure. I mean, normally when we get these point updates, there will be a beta, which will often be announced a couple of days in advance. The beta will then be running for 1-2 weeks, depending on the amount of stuff that needs to be tested in the patch. After which they will take down the beta server. There will be a small downtime, and then shortly after the patch will then be released. But the fact that they're saying sooner than we think, I believe is that means that there might maybe not be a beta this time. And if it is content updates, I mean, if there's no real new mechanic, if it's just some expansion of existing stuff, I don't know, then maybe there's not going to be a patch. That could be that could be an indication. I mean, normally I would expect from when we begin to hear the first rumors of an upcoming release and get a patch, or get a day for a beta, then I would probably expect it to be about a month before the patch is out. So I'm always assuming that the patch is about a month away. But now that they say sooner than we think, they might do a sneaky ninja launch. I mean, we've seen them do that before. I don't believe we've seen them do this with a point update, like one of the larger updates. They've done it with smaller patches. That suddenly they would just say, "Oh, server's down, and we're gonna apply patch whatever dot something obscure small patch. They're gonna fix or introduce some minor new features, and they're gonna give us a less than 24-hour notice, and then they're gonna take down the servers, update, I'll be back up and running." But for these bigger patches, it's a little. But again, if it's a content update, I guess all we can do is really wait and see what happens. Though I really do hope that that it's not just going to be new Thargoid storyline. I know there's lately been a lot of focus on the whole Thargoid narrative, and that's of course because it's the main like large-scale event in the game right now, and that's why I think there's a lot of focus on it. But I can't remember. I think it was on Facebook. I saw someone made a poll where they asked people how many were actually interested in the whole Thargoid narrative, and it was surprisingly low. I think it was, now I can't remember that, of course it's a while back, but I believe it was around 30%-ish who were interested in the Thargoid narrative. That's, I mean, not even half of the players were really interested in that narrative. They were doing other stuff with the game. So I feel like there lately has been, the last like half year has been a overwhelmingly focus on that whole Thargoid narrative compared to the amount of players who were actually interested. Of course, interest in the beginning was very high, and now it's slowly been degrading. And I think it's mainly because there's not been a lot new. I mean, there's been new ships added, but they pretty much look the same, just with improved stats. There was the new scouts coming out, but to be honest, that didn't really catch my interest that much. The new small scout ships. I mean, to be honest, I haven't even been out trying to look for them and try to go and fight them. It might be fun. I don't know. I don't know. The whole Thargoid narrative kind of died on me. Now, of course, now they are beginning to move into the bubble. It's going to be something that all commanders is soon going to be affected by. I mean, just the other day I was playing with some guys who were running missions for the new faction, and suddenly someone got interdicted, like right in the middle of the bubble, or hyper-addicted in the middle of the bubble. So it's something that will have an increasing effect on players, but with a large amount of players not really being interested in it, it's going to be a balancing act by Frontier to figure out a way to progress the story act and make it feel like, oh, our home space is under attack, without affecting the players who don't really care for it. Because if you as a player who don't really care for the Thargoid narratives can't do 2 jumps without being hyper addicted and attacked and shut out of the sky, I feel like that could be the killjoy for you in a game and make people leave, which of course is not something that Frontier or the player itself want. But I guess so. It's a balancing act, and we will have to wait and see where that whole thing goes. But at least it seems like 3.0 is around the corner, and maybe that's something we're going to see pretty soon. I mean, I was expecting it to be somewhere in Q2, and then an update in Q3, and then of course the large update in Q4. So I would say we get it within the next 3 months, probably sooner than we think. I really hope that you liked today's video. I don't want to say a big thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. For the last months, I've been demonetized my own Hello Day videos to bring them ad-free to you. To try and use this platform this video series to promote the Patreon page a little bit more. All money raised through Patreons and donations all go directly to equipment that somehow improves your viewing experience. So that would be if I want to build a streaming PC, if I want to have better lighting, better cameras, better microphones, stuff like that. That's where Patreon money goes. Stuff that affects the video quality of what I'm doing, so that you have prettier looking videos. So yeah, if you want to support me on Patreon, there's a link for that in the description below. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Give a like down below if you did, and remember to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I will see you guys in space.